disease that affects only women. Don, another look at the weather.
Okay, it's going to be a little bit breezy this evening if you're going to go for a walk. 34 degrees by 10 o'clock. Overnight, partly cloudy and 26. Tomorrow's looking cooler than today, but not bad. Quite a bit of sunshine. Temperatures in the 40s.
Still nothing to complain about. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back tonight at 10. Have a good evening.
From ABC, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening. It's a question on many people's minds tonight. What is being done to try to get some or all of the hostages out of Lebanon? On the surface, it would appear very little is happening involving either the hostage holders or the U.S. government or the Israeli government. But behind the scenes, there is certainly the feeling tonight that the groundwork is being laid for some kind of an exchange. And the idea in itself is not altogether popular. Here's ABC's Dean Reynolds.
In Jerusalem today, Israeli victims of terrorism were demonstrating against the idea of swapping Arab prisoners for hostages.
I cannot see the man who wounded me going now out from jail with a victory.
But diplomatic sources tell ABC News wide-ranging exploratory talks on a swap are underway. Said one official, "We're sending out feelers everywhere." And today in Damascus, Nabi Berri, the head of Lebanon's Amal militia, said he's gathering names of Arab prisoners.
I'm preparing a precise list now, which when complete, I will give the Israelis.
According to sources, Israel is willing to free the prisoners for an Israeli flyer, missing since October 16th and held by Berri's militia. An approach to the International Red Cross has already been made on that score. As for the 4 kidnapped professors, Israel will deal only if asked by Washington, a request that has yet to be made.
There is no pressure whatsoever. To the best of my knowledge, the United States policy is not to give in to blackmail of terrorism.
But releasing the prisoners for the Israeli airman would satisfy the demand of the kidnappers holding and threatening to kill the professors. Officials here say that may be why Washington has felt no need to make a request. But in Israel, a deal even for a missing serviceman is not popular. Many people think past prisoner releases only invited future terrorism.
And the worst thing that you can do about mistakes is not to admit they are mistakes and go on with the same line.
And some officials here think it's a mistake to deal with Nabi Berri. They question his influence with the kidnappers, his ability to deliver any hostages, and his evident love of the spotlight. The Israelis are proceeding very cautiously. Dean Reynolds, ABC News, Tel Aviv.
The White House continues to maintain its public posture. The U.S. will not encourage Israel to negotiate with the hostage takers, and no one in official Washington believes this is going to be resolved very quickly. President Reagan spent an hour and 10 minutes today answering questions from his special commission investigating the role of the National Security Council. A White House spokesman said the president went over the development and execution of the Iran policy, but details are scarce. Speaking of the Iran policy, this is the 8th anniversary of the Iranian Revolution. In Iran, the Speaker of the Iranian Parliament claims that a few days ago, an unnamed American contacted Iran, turned over a phone number, and suggested that with a call they could speak with President Reagan. Hashemi Rafsanjani did not say whether Iran did anything with the number, assuming that one was given. The Reagan administration has had no reaction to the story. Today, as we said, is the 8th anniversary. Here's ABC's John Lawrence.
Hundreds of thousands of Iranians gathered in Tehran today shouting "Death to America." The president of Iran gave the main speech, referring to reports that the Reagan administration tried to make contact with moderates in his government. The president declared that there were no moderates or extremists, and that there would be no reconciliation with Washington. And the crowd cried, "War, war, until victory." Meanwhile, Iran's 6.5-year war with Iraq grinds on near Basra. Latest reports suggest that the recent Iranian offensive has been blocked, with Iraq counterattacking. It was 8 years ago today that Ayatollah Khomeini took power in Iran, and yesterday he made his first public appearance in nearly 3 months. 86 years old and frail, Khomeini's appearance dispelled rumors that he was ill and near death. Speaking at an Islamic religious service, Khomeini said the war with Iraq is a holy crusade that will be fought until final victory. And beyond that, to a point where the rule of Islam is spread everywhere, to all governments of the world. John Lawrence, ABC News, London.
We have one other note for the Middle East from Beirut specifically, where the living conditions in some of the Palestinian refugee camps have become so poor that residents have had to resort to eating dogs and cats. Yesterday, residents at several camps spent much of the day protesting the conditions and pleading for some help. The United Nations made a public appeal for help, and today some of the Shiite Amal militia, who have had a lock on the camp and are trying to prevent the Palestinians from arming again, did allow some food and medicine into the two most troubled areas. That is supposed to be the first step involved in a ceasefire. Later in this broadcast, one of the top Contra leaders tells ABC News he is pulling out of the Contra coalition. John McQueffey on the kind of people who live in Antarctica and a very controversial way to quiet man's best friend.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings, brought to you by Jeep Cherokee.
Jeep Cherokee has just been reborn. It can now be ordered with a 4-liter, 6-cylinder, 173-horsepower engine. Nothing in Cherokee's class even comes close. In fact, with this engine and a choice of 2 or 4 doors and 2 shift-on-the-fly 4-wheel drive systems, you could say nothing's in Cherokee's class.
Inspection! Are we clean?
Yes, sir!
How do we stay looking clean?
With automatic Vanish, sir!
Why automatic Vanish?
Sir, with automatic Vanish, every flush brings us more of that tough Vanish cleaning and deodorizing formula. No other brand can give you that.
Sound off!
Automatic!
Sound off!
Vanish! No other brand gives you that tough Vanish formula!
In private, there are other Vanish products you should know about. When you want a brush, use liquid or crystal Vanish. Their powerful formula cleans so well, you'll stand up to any inspection.
Yes, sir!
In Washington today, 3 congressmen introduced new legislation to block the release of $40 million to the Contra forces trying to overthrow the government of Nicaragua. The congressman said aid for the Contras is a 6-year policy of failure. Well, political support for the Contras is likely to be shaken further by a major change in the Contras' leadership. One of the 3 Contra leaders has told ABC News he is quitting. Here's ABC's Beth Nissen.
Arturo Cruz says he simply doesn't want to work for an organization that doesn't work.
I am convinced that the coalition isn't working in an effective manner. I believe that some changes and reforms are necessary. Whatever reforms have been agreed have not worked. For that reason, I am leaving.
Since he joined the alliance of Contra leaders in 1985, Cruz has been the most moderate rebel leader, pushing for political pressure instead of just military threats to get the Sandinistas in Nicaragua to moderate their actions. It was the Reagan administration that forged the alliance of Contra leaders to show Congress that opposition to the Sandinistas was well-organized and broad-based. But in practice, hardliners like Adolfo Calero dominated the rebel coalition. Cruz and his more moderate views took a back seat.
I don't like to be in any kind of discussion that it's perceived as it was a struggle for power.
Cruz's departure is viewed as a setback by the administration's major architect of Central American policy.
Well, I suppose nobody's irreplaceable, but he comes as close as you can get.
Many on Capitol Hill think the Contras have now lost all pretense of unity and their most credible leader.
And it seemed to many of us that Arturo Cruz represented that person.
In the wake of the Iran arms scandal, the Contras aren't politically popular on Capitol Hill. For many members of Congress, the resignation of Arturo Cruz is one more reason to withdraw their support. Beth Nissen, ABC News, Washington.
Overseas today, there was trouble in the streets of Moscow and another sign of the difficulty that Mikhail Gorbachev faces as he tries to permit some flexibility in the Soviet system. For 3 days now, a relatively small group of Soviet Jews has been demonstrating in the open. As Walter Rogers reports, now some Soviet officials apparently have had enough.
About 20 Soviet Jews attempting to demonstrate for the 3rd day in a row were quickly surrounded and outnumbered by plainclothesmen. The demonstrators were seeking the right to emigrate and demanding freedom for a jailed Jewish activist when they came in for rough treatment.
I want to Israel!
So did the French television crew, which had its camera and video recorder broken. ABC, the only American television camera crew covering the incident, was also jostled. And then one Soviet plainclothesman neatly sliced in two our camera cable. With no cameras to record it, the authorities then herded the Jewish demonstrators off onto this side street where they were dispersed. A man identifying himself as a Moscow city official said the demonstration had been illegal. But throughout the episode, Soviet uniformed police stood by and did not interfere. Western diplomats believe incidents like this typify bureaucratic resistance to attempts to allow greater freedom in Soviet society.
Well, I hope that the relapses will not be great. I hope that there will be steady progress toward the kind of society that can stand more openness.
Both the Americans and the French are protesting today's incident. Walter Rogers, ABC News, Moscow.
Still with the Soviet Union, it's now been 10 months since the Soviet nuclear accident at Chernobyl. And researchers in Austria report that small amounts of radiation have been found in the milk from cows and breastfeeding women. Their findings were contained in a letter to the New England Journal of Medicine. The talk show host Phil Donahue was broadcasting from the Soviet Union this week, has been allowed a closer look at Chernobyl and the countryside around it than any other American. And it is positively eerie. Donahue reported on his program today that villages in the surrounding countryside are totally empty, like ghost towns. The trees in the forest are all dead, and at the plant itself, Donahue could see there on the left-hand side of the picture a new roof on that part of the building where the explosion occurred. Down in the left-hand corner there, the Soviets now say that everything is under control. When we come back, the MIAs and the billionaire.
How much can you save on 18 new Buick models? It's your option. You can save up to $1,200 depending on the amount of optional equipment you buy on a wide variety of new Buicks. You'll also get something that isn't optional. Buick's new 6-year, 60,000-mile warranty. It's truly a better time to buy, so see your participating Buick dealer for details now. The amount you save is optional. The 660 warranty is standard at Buick, where better really matters.
If you're looking for calcium in Just Right or Nutri-Grain, you can stop looking. There's none there. But Total has calcium, so now besides 100% of 9 vitamins and iron, Whole Wheat Total's the only major cereal that's a major source of calcium.
Give me some raspberry.
You'll go wild over Riunite Royal Raspberry. The taste of raspberries and natural Riunite, not a watered-down cooler. And try Natural Peach.
I can't believe you don't know this stuff. You read the articles.
I read them.
Lay off the saturated fats, watch the cholesterol, and you know what too much salt can do.
What?
It's heavy stuff. And you still eat like that.
Fleischmann's Light, 25% less fat and salt than margarine, and no cholesterol.
Hey, I want you to care about this.
Okay, Dad.
There are quite a number of people in the country who continue to insist that some Americans who fought in the Vietnam War are still alive in Southeast Asia and that the government isn't doing enough to find them. One of those people has a great deal of money and access to the White House. Here's ABC's Sam Donaldson.
H. Ross Perot, the Texas billionaire whose daring do often gets results, clings to the belief that some Americans missing in action in the Vietnam theater are still alive. And today he sought President Reagan's help in proving it. Perot saw White House Chief of Staff Donald Regan and asked that the president let him see the secret MIA files of the Defense Intelligence Agency, which he believes contain evidence withheld from the public of MIA live sightings. Further, Perot asked for presidential backing for a trip he wants to take to Vietnam to discuss the matter with Hanoi authorities. Perot would have to make his own arrangements with Hanoi for entry and would pay for the trip himself, but an official presidential blessing would give him more clout once he got there. White House officials say they've tried to cooperate with Perot for some time on the MIA issue. But they say there are strong disagreements among Perot, the MIA families, and the responsible officials in the National Security Council staff. They say what Perot seems to be asking for is the prime role in the overall effort. And although the president wishes him well, officials here say that he won't be given. Sam Donaldson, ABC News, the White House.
A movie which has apparently been, in fact has been, very successful in bringing home the horror of Vietnam was honored with 8 Oscar nominations this morning, Platoon. It has been a tremendous box office success, but as ABC's Gary Shepard reports, it's also a personal victory for the man who wrote and directed it.
For Oliver Stone, Platoon's 8 Academy Award nominations represent the end of a long and difficult struggle to bring to the screen his story of what it was like for American combat soldiers in Vietnam.
I wrote it in '76, then I waited another 10 years to get it made. Nobody would make it. It was too hard. It was called too depressing and too grim.
The movie follows the exploits of an infantry platoon in the Vietnam jungles, drawn from Stone's real-life experiences. He spent a year there in 1967 and '68 in the infantry, winning the Bronze Star and the Purple Heart. Charlie Sheen, who portrays him in the film, writes letters based on Stone's actual correspondence.
I don't even know what I'm doing. A gook could be standing 3 feet in front of me and I wouldn't know it. I'm so tired. I don't think I can keep this up for a year, Grandma. I think I've made a big mistake coming here.
But there's no mistaking Platoon's success at the box office. For a film that no Hollywood studio would finance, in 7 weeks, it has already grossed more than $38 million and is now the hottest movie in the country.
I had to make it. I mean, if we didn't make that story, I felt we wouldn't be telling the truth.
I think the country owes him a debt of gratitude to make, in an age of Rambo, a truly honest movie that catches the harshness and the particular, almost senseless brutality of that war. It's a very real movie.
Vietnam veterans have been flocking to see Platoon. Some of them saying later they're glad their story is finally being told.
I hope that they like it. I really do. I hope that they identify with it and through it at least feel like somebody in Hollywood, some people in Hollywood cared enough to do something that was honest.
Gary Shepard, ABC News, Hollywood.
The miniseries America, which begins on ABC this weekend, has caused an awful lot of comment. Now there's an understatement. A great many people at the United Nations are angry because in the series, special forces, which have the look of the UN about them, act as enforcers for the Soviets who occupy America. To counteract that image, the series star, Kristofferson, has spent today making a series of public service messages for the United Nations, which he believes in.
In the Middle East and other trouble spots around the world, peacekeeping soldiers from many nations serve under one flag, the UN flag.
The messages will be available to broadcasters. Kristofferson says that making them was conscience money for doing the America series. When we come back, a look at Antarctica and the people who live there.
If you could design the perfect coffee maker, what would you do?
Well, I'd give it a sophisticated look.
You'd want to design in quality, reliability, at an affordable price.
And of course, you'd want to give it America's #1 selling name, Mr. Coffee.
Introducing the newest member of the Mr. Coffee family, the International Design Series. Everything you imagine a coffee maker could be, and then some.
Here's Jerry with a new car.
What'd you pay for it?
About $5,500.
Are you kidding?
Does it run on batteries?
What's it made of? Crepe paper?
Does it have a motor? Does it have a motor?
Can I kick the tires?
Will the door come off the hinges?
Hey, guess what? It's a Subaru!
Oh, a Subaru!
Subaru!
Only one inexpensive car is built like a Subaru. Introducing the Subaru Justy. Inexpensive and built to stay that way.
Such a smart boy. Oh.
You've always trusted Woolite to care for your fine sweaters. Wouldn't you love to get that same Woolite care for your rugs and for your chairs? Well, here's how. Woolite Spray Foam Rug Cleaner works so well it removes even stubborn dirt. And for chairs, Woolite Upholstery Cleaner foams away dirt safely and beautifully. Get your rugs and upholstery Woolite clean with Woolite Rug Cleaners and Upholstery Cleaner. Trust Woolite care for rugs and chairs.
Once there was a fella who just didn't have what it takes to win his Valentine. Then he remembered Baskin Robbins ice cream cakes. They're specially made for Valentine's Day in our most lovable flavors. Now, thanks to Baskin Robbins, he found the way to melt her heart.
If you're looking for a simple way to apply for the American Express card, simply pick up one of these, because now you can apply over the phone. Just call 1-800-THE-CARD.
Now the last in our series on Antarctica. So far, our reports from the bottom of the world have dealt with the coming political battle over natural resources hidden beneath the ice, and with the general scientific research which is being done there. Tonight, a look at the special breed of people who live there year-round. Our John McWethy went to Antarctica on special assignment.
It is now late summer in Antarctica. Penguins raising families bask in a heat wave that drives temperatures all the way up to 15 degrees at the edge of the continent. Not far from here, the U.S. has built its largest research station called McMurdo, where up to 1,000 people work during the summer. In the winter, the U.S. population drops to less than 100. For the people who stay, the last plane leaves in March when the sun goes down, with no flights in or out during the 6 months of darkness. Even in the summer, Antarctica is always dangerous. The harsh climate, the snow, and the ice of Antarctica all pose major survival challenges. During our trip, 2 men went on a Sunday afternoon hike up on that mountain behind me. They strayed from the marked trail, fell into a crevasse, and both were killed. Throughout the relatively short history of exploration in Antarctica, which reached a peak in the 1911 race between Scott and Amundsen to be the first to reach the South Pole, this continent has treated those who tried to conquer it without mercy. Many of the early explorers never returned home. So what draws the modern explorer?
It's a love for something that few people get to do, and just being able to look out over the vastness and the extremeness of it all. I think it's a really cool place.
I think they come because of the attraction to the last frontier, if you will.
I wanted to make a lot of money. I wanted to meet a lot of men and get away from my mother.
America's McMurdo Station has the look of a frontier mining town. Only here, there are no guns, no police force. It is a science town run by the National Science Foundation and is complete with biological and geological laboratories, an ice runway, ski-equipped transport planes, and 6 helicopters. The U.S. Navy provides most of the support. Living is rough, but every effort has been made to soften the edges to help with the isolation.
And that's minus 17 degrees Fahrenheit. So if you're going outside, bundle up. Here's Katrina in the waves, though, walking on sunshine.
For many who come to this continent, McMurdo is just a way station. Most scientists go out into the field, living in huts and tents in remote parts of this icy wilderness, drilling, collecting, and even diving. For them, the whole continent is a laboratory. To environmentalists, Antarctica is a pristine wilderness that should never be disturbed. To many others, the continent is viewed as a deep freeze full of riches as yet unexploited. Ultimately, it will be the politicians who decide what will happen here, men and women who may never set foot on this continent, but are driven by needs back home. There are no natives to defend Antarctica, just the voices of the wilderness. John McWethy, ABC News, Antarctica.
The end of our series. In tonight's Money Matters on Wall Street, the stock market resumed its climb today. The Dow Jones, the Industrials gained almost 14 points, and the trading was heavy. When we come back, the quiet dogs of Galveston.
Say, these must be Jack's new Canon personal copiers. Great color.
Yeah, and they copy in 5. You want to see?
Go ahead, make my day.
Everything you need to copy with is in this replaceable cartridge.
I'll do that.
Good thing Canon has PCs for every personality. Even pushy agents.
Lighten up, Jack.
These new Canon personal copiers are light. Put one in my car.
What a guy.
Personal copiers for every personality. For information, call toll-free 1-800-OK-CANON.
This is the beginning. The all-new Chrysler LeBaron. Beauty with a passion for driving. Advanced front-wheel drive traction. Positive response suspension. Fuel-injected high-torque power. Choose precision 5-speed. Heart-pounding turbo. All with the Chrysler Protection Plan. The new LeBaron from Chrysler. Driving to be the best.
This is America's cup of coffee, Taster's Choice. And this is the cup that commemorates the American victory. Free from Taster's Choice. See specially marked jars, and you can bring home America's cup. Some coffee brands use chemical solvents in decaffeinating the coffee. But Taster's Choice does it naturally, using no chemicals, just pure water and oil from the coffee bean itself. The choice for taste is Taster's Choice.
Tonight on Nightline, what could be the biggest change in Soviet policy in 30 years? The latest, a massive release of political prisoners. But is it all too good to be true?
Our final story this evening is about dogs and about what some people will do to prevent dogs from barking. Our Charles Murphy discovered this story in Galveston, Texas.
No one knows how many dogs there are in Galveston, Texas, but nearly everyone says there are too many. The two animal control officers try, but simply can't catch all the strays, and there are constant complaints about noise.
They just keep me up sometimes, you know. There's so many of them around here barking.
But what if all the dogs here sounded like Spencer? This little dachshund has been debarked, his vocal cords surgically trimmed to reduce noise. Compare him to one that has not been altered. Martha Fuller has nearly all the dogs in her kennel debarked.
Quiet. We don't like a lot of nuisance, a lot of noise. We don't like it ourselves, and we don't want to impose on our neighbors.
Recently, Galveston officials on the radio suggested debarking as a way to avoid a court summons for a noisy dog.
If you debark your dog, then you cut out the noise. You don't have no problem. The problem don't exist anymore.
Dogs are referred to this clinic in Houston where Dr. Donald Ross does 100 of the operations a month. He wouldn't comment on camera. He says he's been getting hate mail. You can see why.
I wouldn't appreciate anybody doing that to my dog.
I don't know. It sounds cruel to me.
I don't think that anything should be done to an animal to conform to a person's lifestyle for their own convenience.
The procedure is taught in veterinary schools. Still, many vets refuse to do it, and they do not see debarking as a solution to animal control problems.
That wholesale debarking of dogs is a bit unnecessary, in my opinion.
Even Galveston officials know it's not the answer.
Well, it might help in a few small percentage cases of barking dogs, but it's not going to eliminate the problem.
The problem isn't unique to Galveston, dog overpopulation. There are so many unwanted abandoned dogs in America. As many as 15 million each year in shelters are destroyed. Dogs, often left alone all day to bark and wander, are a nuisance because they are longing for affection. Charles Murphy, ABC News, Galveston, Texas.
That's our report on World News Tonight. I'm Peter Jennings. Good night.
From ABC, this has been World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Wednesday, a life hangs in the balance. Please. And all wounds are opened on Dynasty.
I'd never harm Christina. You've harmed everyone I've ever loved.
Then,
let me stay here with you.
Peter's trapped by the past.
I just can't turn my back on her.
Just don't forget I need you to.
Hotel right after Dynasty.
Tonight.
Oh, here comes Simon. Waterloo Greyhound Park.
Stoffer Seeds, America's fastest-growing seed company, delivers quality hybrids like S7751. High yields and a strong stock. S7751.
In search of the perfect combination of tastes, some hamburger places will try anything. Well, at Hardee's, we found it. Introducing the new Mushroom and Swiss Burger, our 100% pure American beef patty, 2 slices of Swiss cheese, mushrooms and sauce. The new Mushroom and Swiss Burger, only from Hardee's. If only every combination worked as well.